Hey, welcome back to the Experience Share. My name is Blake, and today, doing a deck profile and gameplay for the Witch Charge deck that I've been working on here. And so I'll leave a link below in the comments section down below. But also, speaking of gameplay, please give a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. That helps boost the algorithm, helps get more sorcery content out to other people. But let's go ahead and dive into this deck breakdown. The Witch is a really strong avatar coming out of Arthurian Legends, and I don't know if it has its final home yet, but this is the first deck that I wanted to brew around with the Witch. And another video that I'm going to link here is we just did a podcast with Golden Eagle and CJ, which is old-fashioned nerds on YouTube, and I'll leave a link for their videos and YouTube channels as well below. But I've made some updates to the deck. I would call my V1 updates going into, and this is the deck that I'm planning to take to my locals tomorrow, and I will be playing this and recording some paper gameplay matches with this, and then an Avatar of Air list that I've been kind of tinkering with as well. But I think Witch is really well positioned to be a strong, aggressive deck, and the control decks are going to have to answer, can they beat this Witch Charge deck? And so what we're playing here is kind of an aggressive burn style package, with some, I would say, disruption in the Maddening Bells type process as well. So Witch has the ability to, just like every other avatar, tap to play and draw sights, but then it also has tap to curse your target avatar, and their spells cost 1 more to cast, or that they lose 2 life, or that their power is reduced by 3 during their next turn. And so Witch is, for the most part, I only use it to make their spells cost 1 more, or to have them lose 2 life. The loss of life is important because Witch does not finish somebody that's on death's door on its own. She does need to still do that death blow, that final point of damage, in order to win the game. But to help support the burn package, we are playing Thunderstorm, and Thunderstorm is really good to be able to just deal 12 damage, potentially. If you're able to get this out on turn 3 with a tower, Thunderstorm can be really hard for your opponent because they can't really move. They don't want to throw any minions in the way to just die by the Thunderstorm. So Thunderstorm can be a really good way to get a lot of damage in on your opponent early. Devil's Egg is really good at where you want to be on our opponent's sites, and so we will be pushing and moving and trying to get on our opponent's sites, where Devil's Egg can just be casted to the hands of one of our minions, making that a really good card in this deck. Maddening Bells, very similarly, because we are an aggressive deck, we are attacking and being on their site, it is easy for us to cast, play a 3-drop, and then cast the Maddening Bells into the hands of one of our minions, and have that right next to our opponent's avatar. Minion-wise, Warhorse, really good card. We needed some lower end spells. Warhorse coming in. If you're able to play this on turn 2, it's living for a few turns, and people don't want to use their removal on a 2/2. And so if this comes down on turn 2, by turn, you have turn 3, it's already done 4, turn 5, it's already done 6 damage. And if there's not a good way to deal and move or remove Warhorse, it's going to be able to get quite a bit of damage in. Morgan Le Fay, really good at helping be able to just draw some additional cards. The 3 threshold is harder. However, we're not really looking to get 3 until later in the game. And so typically when you go to 4 or 5 sites, and you have a decent chance of getting the triple red by site 5. And Red Cat Power is just a 3/3 with charge. Bodeka, incredibly strong, can be a surprise card because other allies have +3 power when successfully attacking a site, and that means that a Warhorse will come in and deal 5 damage to an opponent's site, and if they're not expecting it, Bodeka can help take over the game. Brother Knight, really good. You play it down, you're able to go search your deck for another Brother Knight, and so you have 3/2 minions. Really strong card here, really good. I think maybe a bit of a sleeper that people are sleeping on right now, but for 4 mana, to get 2 3/2s, really strong. Gyre Hippogriff's not too much to say. It has charge and airborne, which makes it really good at being an aggressive slanted card. Monstrous Lion is one that I'm curious to just kind of keep playing more because of the grapple shots, because of the blinks. I don't mind playing a Monstrous Lion and to go in and start trying to attack my opponent's avatar. The charge means even if there's nothing that we want to remove minion-wise, we can go ahead and play it down, try to start taking some aggressive positioning towards our opponent. Cavalry, it's just an ordinary charge, really strong. Raiders, it is an exceptional charge, so we're playing 3 of those. Sir Balin, probably one of the most devastating abilities if you're able to attack an avatar. When Sir Balin strikes an avatar, destroy that avatar's site, and then burrow every other minion and artifact there. And while strike includes a grapple shots, you can grapple shot with Sir Balin, and just really ruin your opponent's day. And right here, we're able to have the Deathrite strike each enemy nearby. That could be an extra nice 4 damage, even if it's removed by our opponent's avatar. And so really good as long as we're able to get close and personal with our opponent here. Blink, Mobility, Cast of Exile, perhaps the best, if not one of the best removal spells in the game now. 2 mana, shuffle your opponent's minion back into their deck. Now the only issue is that they have to be on your site. However, I think it's definitely worth the cost because of how powerful this effect is. And we're just playing a split of the burn the spells as I'm trying to figure out what's the right ratio and mix of 2 Firebolt, 2 Magic Missiles, and 3 of the Lightning Bolt. 3 Grapple Shots to help us continue to add the pressure, and Chaos Twister and Infiltrate for those minions that are a little bit larger than us, then we can take out, kind of go above that 4 power range. Site-wise, not a lot of colorless sites just because of how important it is on turn 3, turn 4 to have your thresholds. And so we are playing as many of the non-neutral sites as we can. Only thing not showing threshold here are these Valleys of Delight, which you pick and really can kind of be an example of 1 threshold for each, but really strong sites here for us. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over here to the gameplay video where you can go ahead and take a look at the first games that I've been playing with the Witch, but stay tuned for some in-paper content coming up here as we're able to play this Charge Witch deck in paper here on Thursday. But that's enough of me talking about this deck. Let's get into the video. Hey, welcome back to the Experience Share. My name is Blake, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of Witch gameplay. Witch is the deck that I am planning to take to my local scene for our first constructed tournament, and so this was the list that I am planning to go ahead and take there, and kind of the main goal of this list is to be as aggressive as possible. Witch is a pretty aggressive avatar, and they've already printed quite a few charge minions in this set, and I really have a strong feeling that Witch is going to be a good deck here going into the Arthurian Legends meta. Our opponent here playing an Archie deck has the turn 1 ring, and that life gain might be tough for us to deal with here. We have the ruins, which helps us get some of our threshold that we need. We still need to have one more air to unlock a lot of our deck here. And so our opponent has 3 mana, and it looks like they're just cycling the blink. Taking a look at our hand, we have Curse Land, which I'm realizing now is really good on the play, but on the draw, it's not near as strong. And so that's one thing I'm realizing going into this, is that Poison Well feels pretty strong here to be able to drop that down, but if I play a Curse Land here, it starts pinging me quite a bit, is something that I'm kind of realizing here. And I think I go ahead and play down the Curse Land, but it actually is going to kind of hurt me, I think, a little bit in this. I think going forward, what I would do is actually mulligan away the Curse Land if I am on the draw. And if I am in this position where I have it, I'd probably wait one more turn so I can kind of lock down their right side or left side. But our opponent does a good job, plays the Merlin Tower in the back away, so it's not nearby, and that allows them to be able to kind of just go out. It does help control our opponent's site placements, but we're going to get pinged for 2 damage no matter where we play a site next turn. But looking at our hand, we have a pretty aggressive turn here. We have the fairies that we'd be able to play down. They have charge. They'd be able to come in and hopefully be able to just get a quick 3 damage in from our opponent. Merlin's Tower is a quite good site that I see our opponent was able to play down there. Their next spell cost from the tower costs 3 less. And so I'm hoping... it doesn't look like I caught it. So Merlin's Tower, I think, actually has to be the one that casts the magic spell. And so really it actually should not have gone off, unless maybe they're spending the 3 mana not using the Merlin's Tower mana. Maybe that's possible here. But what we'll probably be doing here, play our charge minion down and go ahead and start getting in. Brother's Knight is another, that's a card next there to the 3/3 with charge, the goblins, or I'm sorry, the gnomes. And it is a 3/2 that has, when it enters in, search your deck or hand for another Brother's Knight and put it onto the battlefield. You're getting 6 power worth of mana or damage for 4 mana, and that's a really, really strong rate. And if your opponent uses 2 pieces of removal on each of those, well, then that's a good 2-for-1 right there. But Thunderstorm off the top doesn't do too much for us. We still need another air site to be able to turn that on. And we're going to play the River of Flame, taking 2 damage with the hope that maybe we can cast the Poison Well in that spot straight ahead. And if we do that, we'd be able to go ahead and get 3 damage off with the Poison Well. Our opponent drawing a site for turn, afraid of the 2 damage, so plays the tower in the back to avoid the 2. What they don't know is that the Poison Well is going to come in and basically do all that damage that they would have taken back. Alright, and our opponent wants to go ahead, remove the gnomes there, and that's probably fine with us, so we'll be able to play out the Poison Well, deal 3 damage to them. Our opponent changing their mind, not wanting to play down their 4th site, opting to draw a site instead. And this is probably the best Poison Well that you're going to be able to get here. So we'll deal 3 to our opponent here, because they're going to lose a life for each nearby site. We will lose 2 because of the Cursed Land, and then we have the Brother's Knight that we can play. Now, I'm intentionally playing it here on this right-hand side to be able to avoid any sort of the projectile type spells that could come out, and I'd rather him not get an easy 1-for-1 with these 2 Brother's Knights here, because he does have enough spells in the discard pile that with a 4th site he could do 2 Firebolts or something along those lines. Now, one thing with Archie's ability is that you have to exile 3 of the spells, and then you don't get to cast any of them. You don't get to cast any 3 of those again. And so it's not like you get to keep the spell that you cast. You do have to exile it as well. And so browse, I mean, obviously having 2 browse is really, really strong, but it's less strong than you can just play like, you know, a browse each turn, as long as you have enough spells in the graveyard to move away. Archie is definitely a deck that I'm wanting to brew around with, and I'm hoping to, as the list start finalizing some, I'll be able to see what kind of burn type control deck you can play with Archie. I think it's a really cool avatar coming out of here in the next set. All right, and our opponent's going to go ahead, exile those 3 cards to go ahead and get a berry. That's going to get rid of one of the knights, leaves the browse in the discard pile. And then goes for the Mirror Realm. And they're going to copy the Cursed Land. So any sides played, you know, on my side now, it's going to deal some damage with it. Turns on Fire Threshold. I don't know if he was searching for fire there. Brother Knight going to be able to come in, swing for 3. Put our opponent down to 9. And it looks like we are a damage short here. Yeah, because we can go ahead, Lightning Bolt and Magic Missiles. But we're going to go ahead and just opt to Grapple Shot for 3 damage. And then we are going to use the Curse ability and to make their spells cost 1 more next turn. And our opponent kind of negates that by playing his own tower. Oh, and then plays a Crave Golem. And then just has to pass using the Crave Golem as removal. And so now I know he's playing the Monk's combo deck here, and he's going to be a little bit too slow because we are going to have enough to go ahead and put him on death's door. And we can go ahead and double go Magic Missiles, Lightning Bolts, and that'll door him. We can tap to make his spells cost 1 more next turn and then pass, and then hopefully be able to drop a Thunderstorm down. And our opponent at this point just decides to go ahead and pick it up. It isn't in the cards for him to be able to get this one back. So I think we actually go back in and we play a game 2. So give us just a minute as we reset this board, and let's get into game 2. All right, getting into game 2 here. We have a Warhorse Cavalry Bodeca. We just need some Fire Threshold here. Ruins is an awesome sight to be able to see. We have the Valley of Delight, which is going to help ensure that we get another Fire Threshold. That's another just really staple site going in, where I think a lot of 2, definitely 3+ color decks are going to be playing that, because it's just an extra duel, basically. You get to play 2 of them. And with the larger Atlas size, the consistency matters more than I would have thought. And so that was a unique thing for me to learn. And okay, plays the horse out. I put the horse, able to move the avatar up 1 here. And there's not a ton that this deck needs the avatar to be moved up for, so I don't really know if there's a benefit or really a downside to playing out moving the witch up 1, but yeah, it does highlight the Warhorse's ability to pick up and move minions, which is kind of cool. Opponent was missing the double threshold for the Highland Princess, who opts to go ahead and cycle the blink, and they pass it over to us. We draw a Cursed Land, which feels pretty good kind of on this side. I mean, then I can play out to the left side, he can play out to the left, but it kind of locks down that right side here for us. Oh no, I think I missed that. Bodeca is 4. It's a 4 cost, not 3. Oh, it's a shame that I played it down as a 3 drop. It has 3 power, but it is definitely a 4 drop. I was not able to get the discount on the beacon. All right, opponent plays Hunter's Large Lodge. Minions lose stealth. And Bodeka gets buried here, which makes sense. That's basically a kill on sight type of card there. Maddening Bells, though, that might be kind of annoying for our opponent to deal with here. We go to 4 mana and go ahead and swing in with the Warhorse for 2, and then make our opponent's spells cost 2 more to cast. Alright, we pass it over to our opponent here. We had to play a sight, so things don't cost 3 more, but this early in the game, Maddening Bells, that can be crippling there. Alright, our opponent's playing the Gnome Hollows. And then our opponent will go ahead and blink over. Now, they're still in the nearby range of the Maddening Bells, which means that their spells are still going to cost 1 more. And we draw another Maddening Bells. Uh-oh. So then if we tap, we can make their spells cost 5 more damage. And it was important to play those Maddening Bells before they moved nearby. The Warhorse moves nearby. But Warhorse comes in, attacks for 2, making the spells cost that much more. Alright, we pass it over to our opponent here, whose spells now cost 4 more to cast. And unless they have a Dispel, it's going to put them in a pretty bad situation to be in. We'll be able to come down to the Cavalry next turn. Go ahead and put them on Death's Door. We have the Grapple Shot for the game finisher, as long as it has less than 3 power because of the Gnome Hollows. And yeah, and our opponent decides to go ahead and scoop it on up there and move on to another game. But thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what avatar you're excited to build around. I love the Witch and really excited to see what it does. And stay around for the next video where you're able to see this Witch deck go against Geomancer.